What's going on, guys? What's going on? We are live. How we all doing? Anyone in the chat? Are we all MIA? Oh, maybe I gotta post this. Copy URL. Let's see if this works. Do. Hello, hello. Anyone there? Well, I'll go over a few of these as I wait. So it says find the inverse of the functions. So on number 1, we have to switch the x and y. And so I'll just do that as the first step. Now I need to get y by itself, so I can cube root both sides. Minus 3. Divide everything by 2. And so I'm going to get y equals, and then you can just leave it like that. And that's going to be my answer. This is also a function, so you could also write it as, f inverse of x. So you can write it like that if you want. Let's look at... that's weird. Did number 2 get squished or something? That's what happened. So let's look at number 3. So h of x equals the absolute value of 7 minus 3x. So we switch the x and y. Now to get rid of the absolute value, remember we break it into the two equations, one positive, one negative. So I'm going to get x equals negative 7 minus 3y. And then I'm going to get x equals positive 7 minus 3y. So then I get x equals negative 7 plus 3y. And then here I get x equals 7 minus 3y. Now in both instances, I do want to get y by itself, and you're going to see how we can almost like combine these together. So I'm going to add 7. So I get x plus 7 equals 3y minus 7. And I'm going to get x minus 7 equals negative 3y. Divide by 3. There equals y. And then divide by negative 3. Now, I know my camera is blocking that a little bit, so I'm going to extend this. So if we notice the difference between the two, let's kind of compare them. The idea is, how could I combine these together? Or is there a way for me to be able to combine these together? we may have to set some sort of domain parameter on this for each one, because when I'm looking at it, it might be kind of difficult. So let's look at, well, let me see. Let me spend some time looking at this one. If I bring out the negative, yeah, we're going to have to do a parameter. So I'm going to visualize it for you guys. Let me guys show you in Desmos. It'll probably be the easiest way to do this. So let's look at the original. Y equals the absolute value of 7 minus 3x. Okay, so it's this shape that's going to get flipped over the line y equals x. Now the problem is these two equations that I made, this one and this one, the biggest issue is that they're going to extend forever. So meaning I have to like cut it off somewhere. So that's why if we use this calculator, it's going to help us out a little bit. Let me make this ... So let me put in the first one. X plus 7 over 3. So it looks like, and then let me put in the bottom one. X minus 7 over negative 3. All right. So if we're looking at this, it looks like if we see this point right here, it stops there. The lines don't extend. Well, for here, my lines extend all the way through. So we have to stop it here. So by visualizing it, what we can do, there's two things that we could do. The first is just to recognize, okay, see where it intersects here? Okay, that's where it's going to stop on this graph. Okay, bam, that's where they intersect. Okay, so that's where it's going to stop. So I'm going to have to say for my restrictions, I'm going to have to say x is greater than or equal to 0 for this one. So y equals and y equals. And then for this one, x is greater than or equal to 0. So on both of them, they have to be that, because we don't want the line to extend all the way through. And if I go ahead and show that, it's going to cut off. And then we get that reflection over that line y equals x. The graph doesn't extend beyond that. Another way, and this is probably the way that I typically envision it, is I know just with this graph here, I'm going to go ahead and block these graphs out right now. I know just visualizing that graph, if we look at my range has to be greater than or equal to 0, right? So that y value isn't going below 0. Well, when we do inverses, you take the domain and range and we switch them. So if we're switching the domain and range, if I know that in the original it's y is greater than or equal to 0, well, if I'm switching my domain and range, so then my range becomes my domain, I know that my x has to be greater than or equal to 0. So sometimes it's easier when we just look at the domain and range here. So my domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. My range is everything greater than 0, so 0 to infinity. So you just switch the domain and range. So my domain then becomes x is greater than or equal to 0, and my y becomes negative infinity to positive infinity. So just a few things to look at when it comes to that, but breaking it up into those two, that's how we're going to solve the absolute value. Any questions on that one? I know it's new, it's different. Let's look at number 5. So switch my x and y. So so technically that's the equation of the inverse. Now I just have to, whoops, that should be a y. I don't know what it is today. My headphones are hurting me. Maybe it's because I haven't had them on for a while, but I can't find a comfortable position for them. All right, so multiply 3y plus 4 times x equals 2y minus 1. So I need to get y by itself. Well, I have y's on both sides. So I'm going to distribute this. So I get 3xy plus 4x equals 2y minus 1. Well, with these y's, I want to get everything to one side. So I'm going to bring this over here, and then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to bring that over there. So I'm going to get 3xy minus 2y equals negative 4x minus 1. The main thing here is if we can't combine like terms, so in this instance, the 3xy minus 2y, I can't combine those terms together. So if I can't combine the terms together, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to group it. So grouping it would just mean to factor it. So I'm going to factor out that y, and I'm going to get 3x minus 2 equals negative 4x minus 1. And then to get y by itself, now I can divide by the 3x minus 2. So I'm going to get y equals negative 4x minus 1 over 3x minus 2. Comments or questions on that one? Don't overthink number 6. Number 6 is just in terms of variables. Switch x and y, get y by itself. Subtract b, divide by a. It's just variables. Don't overthink it. All right, solving the triangles. Let's look at number 8. So this is going to be law of sines and law of cosines. I have to draw out my triangle to determine which one it is. So A, B, C, 42 degrees. My B is 117, and my C is 88. So because this is side angle side, it's going to be the law of cosines. And so in this instance, I need to find side A first. So this is going to be A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2bc cosine A. So I just plug everything in. So it's going to be a squared equals 117 squared plus 88 squared minus 2 times b times c times the cosine of a. So I just need to enter that in my calculator. So let's enter that in. So 117 squared plus 88 squared minus 2 times a times b times c times, now my cosine, I have to change it to degrees, so times, and now I can do cosine of a. So that's 6,130. So this is going to be a squared equals 6,130. Square root both sides. That's going to give you my a. So the square root of 6130.16175. So a equals 78.3. Now to find b and c, we can use the law of sines or cosines for that. So we can do sine b over b equals sine a over a. Now just get b by itself. So multiply by 117. And then sine inverse of both sides. So b would equal the sine inverse of that. So sine inverse, that won't work. I have to use the functions. Probably going to say arc sine. Oh, no, they have sine inverse. So the sine inverse of 117 sine of 42 divided by 78.3. So that gives me 89 degrees. So my b is going to be 89 degrees. And then I can do 180 minus those two. So 180 degrees minus 89 minus 42. That's going to give me 49 degrees. So this right here is going to be 49 degrees. So those are all the sides and angles. Any questions on that? Number 7 will be, I think it's going to be angle side side or side side angle. So you're just going to use the law of sines the entire time. But it's that special case, so you should use that chart. All right, so the next one, find the indicated ratio. So I'm just going to copy and paste it so I can draw on it. So it says cosine z. So that's from this ratio or this angle right here. So cosine z is adjacent over hypotenuse. So my adjacent value is 32. My hypotenuse is 40. So then I can just reduce it, and then by 8, so I get 4 over 5. There's no finding angles, it's just find me what the ratio is. Graph the quadratic function. So graphing it, probably good idea to put it into graphing form. So x squared minus 4x minus 3. B over 2 squared. That's going to be 4. So we have to take that 4 and subtract the 4 because I need the 4 to be able to factor that. Negative 4 and negative 3 equals negative 7. So then that's the starting value. Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Over 2 up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Over 2 up 4. So there's our parabola. So finding the zeros, does it factor? No. You'd have to use the quadratic formula. So negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. That's how to find the zeros. The x and y intercepts. So the x-intercepts, you just take the zeros from the quadratic formula and write it as a point. The y-intercept is negative 3. It's right there. Determine the domain and range. My domain is going to be from negative infinity to positive infinity. The range is going to start at negative 7 and is going to go all the way up to infinity. The intervals of increasing and decreasing. So the important piece here, I'm just going to kind of cut this in half. As we move this way, my graph is going down, so it's decreasing, and then from that line, as we keep going that way, my graph is going up. So my intervals of decreasing would be from negative infinity until we get to 2. That's a decrease. And then increase would be from 2 to infinity. And then the relative and maximum extrema. So it has both a relative and absolute extrema at negative 7. All right. So we pretty much hit every single topic here. Are there any questions that we may have had on it? Great. All right. Well, thank you for joining me. And there won't be a stream tomorrow. Once I'm done with both of my streams, I'll be able to update the Google Slides, and I'll post it in Discord. I might actually have some time before my next stream to get it finished, but I'll get that thing posted. I have a meeting tomorrow, and so I'm going to be gone. So the streaming this week is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Sorry, I just said I can't do Tuesday. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So those are going to be the streaming days. Bring me your questions. Other than that, have a good one. I hope everyone had a great weekend. I hope everyone is still safe, relaxing. Cabin fever is real. It's absolutely real. I'm hoping a lot of us are able to navigate that okay. I'm hoping that they don't extend everything past May 15th. They're saying that the lockdown should end May 15th. I'm hoping that they don't extend it past that because, man, things are antsy. Let me tell you. So, other than that, I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll catch everyone later.